I'm a little ashamed of it, but I'll go to Taco Bell once a month. It's like I love it, and it's my guilty pleasure. Somebody about podcasts and
Okay.
like, oh, I like this one and that one and whatever. And they were like, man, I'm so picky about my podcast. I will listen to them. And some of them start off with like this huge, like he didn't know what a cold open was. He's like, they started with this huge like thing at the beginning that has nothing to do with the podcast. And then I get so upset with how long it's taking to get to what I actually want to hear that I'm like, nope, I'm done. I write that podcast off forever. Anyway, I
I
said, that's a
kind of
cold
agree with
open.
that. There's
Yeah.
podcasts that take it way too far. I don't want 6 minutes of cold open before the content.
Yeah. So
So when My Favorite Murder very first started, which is one of the bigger like true crime podcasts, and this was back in 2017, they started their podcast. They would do banter for like 30 minutes of their hour and 30-minute podcast, and now it's become a big part of their podcast. But when it started and people didn't understand, they would designate the people who complained about that and then would skip to the main part of the story, the meat. They would call them skippers. And there was an episode called Skippers Unite, and it was only like 20 episodes into the podcast. They were like, for all you skippers out there. So for anybody who doesn't like the cold open, I do like it though when podcasters link it to whatever they're doing. So anyways, there you go. Skippers Unite.
and cut.
That's it.
Write the
And cut.
content.
Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stratus Sphere Podcast. My name is Owen Phillips. I'm the marketing director for Stratus Services, joined, as always, by Joshua Rabe, our owner, and Joel Recane, our managing director of cybersecurity and CMMC. We are going once again back into the CMMC verse and giving hopefully some actionable things. But today we are diving back into Reddit, answering other people's questions that they have about CMMC that they didn't ask us to answer. But before we jump into Reddit proper, we got an update recently, I think it was this week, from the DoD about a couple of FAQs that were answered about CMMC generally. And I just want to touch on one of the things because I think that it's absolutely nonsense bonkers and I want to understand it more. One of the components that was answered in this FAQ was if you only handle physical CUI, you do not have to go through the CMMC compliance landscape and get certified or whatever they might need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Who is handling only physical CUI in 2025? How does that work? What is going on?
Know who that applies to. We work with some clients for whom like their paper CUI is very important because it has to be brought out onto the shop floor and looked
For
at.
sure.
But that paper CUI always comes from a printer and a file on your
Right.
network.
That's what I like. Is somebody hand delivering? Do you have a courier
through
that
the
just like
mail.
gives you plans? Yeah, that seems super not safe.
I bet there's a carve out of individuals out there that they listen to us talking about all these security requirements and they are so confused because they only handle physical medium and we're so confused. But if we were to talk to them and understand it, we would probably get it. So I think if you're out there and you're the only ones that does it, we would love to talk to you just to know that process. It's probably something that makes complete sense if we just knew about it. It's probably not like faxing or like hand carrier. It's probably something very specific. But I'd be really interested just to know about this. Well, the cool part about this is like talking to the different types of companies that do this work and understanding, a little bit about their job. There's some really cool stuff out there. Like we've done a lot with like engineering and construction and architectural, and that kind of falls into like a bucket we're familiar with on the non-CMMC side as well. But then it kind of opens up this whole can of worms of other companies that we don't really get to interact with that are super cool.
You just want to help people store their plans for the big fighter jets, I think is really what you're getting at there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, call us.
No, my favorite was the meme that I saw, and they were like, if you are under this level, we got you. And it was just a carrier pigeon. Do you know, like you only have physical CUI, like just if you do all of your communication by carrier pigeon, you're good to go. So yeah. Anyways, well, thank you for letting me go on that little tangent. I thought that was a very strange and interesting aside. physical CUI, you're good to go.
Yeah, there's
Go ahead.
there's two other items in there. There's the paper CUI one. There's the question about the clarifying information that encrypted CUI is still CUI. That's not considered a form of segmentation or anything like that, which was I found very satisfying because people have been trying to sort of wish that into existence as long as I've been doing CMMC work. And that is, I think in other frameworks, like PCI works like this, I believe, where cardholder data that's encrypted but stored separately from the encryption keys is considered out of scope. It's no longer considered cardholder data. So people were trying to manifest that encrypted CUI wasn't CUI anymore and didn't have to be protected or anything, which I found really annoying. It would sort of, just with the way CMMC works, like everything needs to be encrypted at rest and in transit all the time anyways. So it would just sort of,
Negate the whole
CMMC
thing.
would, yeah, would just like poof itself out of existence if that was true. So it never made any sense to me, and I found it satisfying that the DoD finally put it in writing. And then I forget what the other question was.
I don't have it off the top of my head, so my apologies. If you want to look for it, you're more than welcome. But otherwise, we can just pop into the next segment. Well, actually, what I will say is we have a blog post about it on our website. So if you want to dig into some of the details, you're welcome to go on our website. Joel already did the homework of making sure that we have comments on what is going on and then a link directly to the document.
Actually, I found it if we want to do it really
Yeah, go
quick.
for it. Yeah.
It was a really specific one about if you have an enclave within your network, but the networking components like the ISP is outside of it, does that bring the rest of your network into scope? And the answer is no. You could have a segmented enclave and where the internet comes in is outside of the firewall or whatever is doing that segmentation, and it doesn't bring the whole rest of your network into scope, which is nice and will be convenient for some people. It feels like they're just treating it the same way the whole internet isn't in scope for anyone. After the firewall, there's internet. We know that. It's just sort of treating the rest of your corporate network as if it was like the wider internet.
Gotcha.
So that's cool.
Okay. Well, that was our review of CMMC, our updates for this January 9th, 2026. And now,
Can I share an interesting thing?
yeah,
Is that there
always.
are so many links that are broken right now because it's dodcio.war or .defense.gov that if you replace the DOD or DOW and the defense with war, then it fixes the link. If you're browsing the site, something doesn't work, maybe just try that.
Yeah. Also, never know where that might take you or what things are not available that could be available if you're just changing URLs. So, for the next segment of what we're doing today, we're going back to Reddit to answer some of the questions that once again people didn't ask us, but we feel the need to answer. So, I have a small slate in front of me. I will do the asking and then I will get your guys' opinion on them because I don't know as many things as you do. So this is iPhones and CMMC monitoring. And I think that this just is a mobile device question overall. But what kind of monitoring do you have on iPhones to get them CMMC compliant? How did you argue the controls about antivirus? Do you use just Defender, CrowdStrike, or something else to close the gap? I don't think we have to give away all of our internal secrets on this, but just like what generally is a good practice.
Yeah. So it's all about scoping for us. And we've worked with people who have mobile devices with CUI on them. It depends on the tool set you have. And are you like a Microsoft shop? If you are a Microsoft shop, there's ways to control the applications on that phone such that the scoping allows you to not have to place every control on it. You can kind of containerize things and segment it like that for exactly that reason, because otherwise now are you vulnerability scanning phones? Like, no, probably not. So there's some tricks to it to avoid that.
Yeah, I think like if you using an MDM, using Apple Business Manager, that's how you get iPhones ready to rock and roll and segmenting it out. Make sure you got your scoping in place.
Yeah, that's always been a weird thing. I was watching something recently. It was like a lawyer being like, "Hi, if you do your business email on your personal phone, your company, if they are under a lawsuit, will need to take all of your data. And I was like, that's terrifying and fun, but not false, So, okay, completely different focus now. This is also, oh yeah, I didn't mention, this is in our CMMC on Reddit. So this is another one from our CMMC. Someone says, anyone focusing on level 1? I've been doing NIST 800 171 consulting since 2017 when this is all very new. I'm a very small 2-person shop, but really focusing on small to medium businesses that need level 1 self-certification support. Anyone else doing level 1 exclusively? I'd really like to make it my niche, and then use the network full of people who are better able to deliver level 2 than their small shop. Just like general thoughts about this, because we do both.
Yeah, I guess I found this one interesting because we don't focus solely on level 1. We do more level 2 and prefer doing that work, but we have done a lot of level 1 work and a lot more than I anticipated us getting, a year ago before all this went live. I figured level 1 being a self-assessment, everyone would just pencil whip it. I'm sure there's some people who are, but there seems to be a decent subset of people out there who take it seriously and reach out for help with it.
I think like what I've seen a lot of that I'm kind of surprised about is how many people are doing level 1, have an MSP, and are doing it. They call their MSP. They say, "Well, we don't know anything about it," and then they're on their own, and then they go do it themselves. And I like if they have an MSP, they're kind of involved. They should be involved in that level 1 process. Anyway, I think it's good that somebody's out there kind of making level 1 their niche. I think that there's probably good mix of people that need that help. Yeah, like Joel said, level 2 is a lot more fun. But I mean, it's more fun for us. It's probably not fun for companies that have to do it, but it's fun kind of putting all those pieces in place.
I didn't even think about that. So there are MSPs who get handed even a level 1 component of this and are just like, that's not our lane, and
I mean, I
we're not going
wouldn't
to touch it.
if I were an MSP and I didn't know anything about it, I probably wouldn't want to we'll sign off on all of this. I think I think what's scary is there's been a lot of companies that have reached out to us where their MSP said, "Well, we'll help you, but we're taking no responsibility for it. So if you feel comfortable filling it out, go for it. But we're hands off. This has nothing to do with us." They're like really clear about drawing the line when you can't unless you're doing absolutely nothing as the MSP. Then in which case I'm not sure why they're paying you. So anyway, that's kind of interesting.
Well, we've seen that too, where the MSP is doing nothing and still getting paid.
That's
That's
true.
happened before.
That has happened.
Would you like
before.
to name names
No.
on the podcast?
That's not nice. That's not nice.
Okay, so there we go. Level 1. If you need level 1, give us a call. We're happy to give you and also just give pointers. Like you guys have been really good about that, of people who are just like, I don't understand Control 14. Like, what do I do here?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump on a call and talk someone through it. But what I don't love is, so how do I explicitly do this? Tell me how to do it exactly. We've actually had other RPOs pretend to be somebody else and reach out to us and ask us how to exactly do something.
Yeah, that was the C3PAO. Those were assessors.
Oh, maybe
Yeah,
they're
and
us.
they had an MSP side as well.
Got it. Well, they should stay in their assessing lane, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this one is much longer, but I think that there's just like a small component of it. So this is also from our CMMC: contract questions, joint ventures, and managing partners. So I'm not going to go through, this is like the very, very long post, but the take home of it is, namely, the concern question is about what happens when my company is a part of a joint venture and we're not the managing partners. So how does someone go about their CMMC certification and make sure that they're following the rules that are set in their contract when they are a part of a joint venture? And I know that this is a question that has not only come up here in Reddit, but that we've been asked expressly in some of our webinar stuff.
Yeah, we've been asked this multiple times, and it's the rare CMMC question I've gotten recently that I'm like, ooh, I don't know the answer to that at all. And this was the first time I'd encountered it in the wild outside of being asked it. So it seems like, I guess my general takeaway is I'm still not 100% sure that anyone knows exactly how it works. What gets confusing is that CMMC goes off of your cage code. That's what's associated with your certification. A joint venture is two companies acting in concert with a new cage code. So if someone were to look that cage code up, there's no CMMC certification for it, even if the two companies within it have it. So then it's this weird question like, well, do you have to pay another 50 whatever grand for an assessment just for this joint venture? Like that doesn't make any sense. But reading through this from some people who sounded like they'd seen it in the wild before, it sounds like as long as the two constituent companies in the joint venture are certified and all the data is in their systems, then that's all they need to do. You don't need to get another assessment or anything. And even potentially if only one company's information system is going to be used, if that one is certified, then that works. So it's interesting. There's more clarity than I'd seen on this topic so far.
Do you have any comments, Josh?
Clear as mud. Yeah. I think a lot of it is. I think the problem is it probably depends also on how you manage this and how it's being, like you said, the data is being utilized. So it's kind of a case by case basis, and maybe takes a little bit of understanding in how the companies are operating. But at any rate, I think it's pretty close to an answer, but it's still a lot of it depends. And I think that's the answer with a lot of this stuff. Come down to scoping. That's how it depends on that.
Okay, then I just have one more. This one is an open question that they're putting out to here. So it is a 2-owner firm, and not 2-owner. The principal and I are at odds somewhat about the likelihood that the November 10th, 2026 date will be pushed back. And so the principal is telling clients that they don't really need to worry about getting everything done by the date. And this person is saying that seems like a really bad thing to be telling clients about getting their assessment completed. Thoughts on the date and what you would tell a client?
Do you want to speak to that one, Joshua? I have thoughts, but I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, what's funny is we've been hearing that this thing is going to get pushed off entirely for the last few years. And then even when the November date came out, people were like, we're not even going to worry about it. And they even made it easy, like, hey, you just get level 1 and a level 2. And
No.
I just switched camera.
Josh, I'm banishing your setup. Your setup is going to be banished.
To be fair, I was on. It's been on for an hour. You still have me on the new camera, right?
Yeah, it's not as. Oh, their quality just changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, it ended up happening, and now people are scrambling last minute to get it done. So if you want to put yourself in a scramble, go for it. From what I've seen, we've had enough companies that are ahead of the game that got their third-party assessment before the November 2025 deadline. So to think that there's not going to be enough people, then they're going to push it again in November 26 seems like a pretty big risk to me. But yeah, go for it, I guess.
Yeah, I would just say that all of those dates are now, it's not just like some proposed idea. It's a part of a federal regulation that was written and authorized and published to the Code of Federal Regulations. Like it's in the law now that's when that happens. I'm sure there's theoretically some carve out for someone to stall it or punt or whatever, but I think the odds of that are functionally zero.
Yeah, it seemed like a really dumb thing to gamble on, regardless of what you think is going on behind the scenes, especially with what we have talked about before of being able to do a level 2 self-assessment as kind of like a placeholder for the time being until you can get a full assessment. I don't know, this seemed really like a way to set yourself up for failure more than anything else.
And I mean, honestly, the more I think about it, telling someone, oh, you're not going to be required to get a certification on November 10th of this year, so don't worry about it, is honestly kind of telling people to break the law in a sense, because the certification is separate from implementing the requirements. Regardless of if you're required to get certified, you're definitely required to implement everything. So yeah, like you're basically saying like, oh, you can get away with it. No one will catch you.
It's one thing if you're out of compliance because you don't have the piece of paper, and it's another thing if you're out of compliance because your systems are just actually not up to the level that they need to be.
Yeah, I guess
Right.
that's the quote. What are they saying? Like, don't even worry about this at all. It's all going to go away. Or are they saying don't worry about getting the third party?
One second. I get his logic, mathematically speaking. The thing is, he's expressing to a potential client, telling them not to worry because the deadline ain't one. My issue is until something changes, we need to live with the rules before us. I suggested the client get on a C3PAO calendar. He's pushing back to me and the client.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
most of the people in the comments are falling on your guys's. The deadline is one, and it's a serious one. If I were a client seeking his advice, I'd be suing him when my business struggles. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's been a number of companies that decided to kick the can down the road, and now they're scrambling. And then there was another ones that just said, "Hey, we're just not going to do DoD work anymore," which is kind of, kind of a bummer, but also opens the window of opportunity for some other companies that decided to go after it to, hey, we had trouble getting into this work before, but now we have very little competition.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've definitely, I mean, I've heard that in these spaces of people being like, yeah, I'm throwing the dice in because I want to be a part of this, and this seems like a functional way to put me, a leg up against the rest. So,
Joel,
yeah.
what I was going to do is just uh, explain to ChatGPT what my setup is and have it tell me everything to do. That's probably a good idea, right?
That's the best way to do it.
It-
No, I despise the use of generative AI for CMMC purposes, other than like formatting your policies, but like not writing your policies, just spell check.
Yeah. Leave it all to the marketing team, right? That's where we use all of our chat GPT. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool use cases for like AI tools, and I enjoy using them quite often. I'm kind of like the teacher, and it's the student that's giving me its work, and then I go grade it and fix it. That's what it's there for. It's kind of like helping you get a head start on things. But in terms of configuring everything, or it gets so many things wrong still on this topic, and so much of it is like just getting it ready for an auditor. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Wait, I want to dig into this, but I want to make sure that we're done with our CMMC component of this talk
okay.
before we go full AI, because I have something that I'd love to get your guys' feedback on this.
Sure.
Deal.
Do you want to finish out, Joel?
No,
So,
I was just going to rant more about how much I hate AI and CMMC, but it was just...
Okay, this is not AI and CMMC. This is AI being put into so many places that it does not necessarily need to exist, or like very poorly implemented. And this is 1000% speculative. This is not a real thing. But I think that a lot of businesses are implementing AI, especially like deep into systems, in ways where it has not been tested very well. So I got the new Alaska Airlines Summit credit card. So it's like the fancy bougie one, right? Like I paid money to get this credit card because I want to travel a lot in the coming years. I get a lot of miles, so forth. Okay, before I received my credit card, I got a letter in the mail that said that there was suspicious activity on my credit card. So like the credit card is not like it was in the mail, and I got a different piece of mail that said suspected fraud on my credit card. So I had to call into Bank of America and say, "Hi, I got this letter. What is going on?" And of course, very skeptical about the whole thing. Like I did not call the number on the letter. I went and found the number on the website and all of that. It was the same number. But anyways, and he was like, "Yeah, they're doing a bad job of telling you that your credit card is locked before you get it." And I was like, "Okay, I'll take that. Sure." So I got the card finally. It was like the 10 days, the maximum amount of days. I got it finally. And I had to call in after receiving the card because it was still fraud locked. And so I was like, this seems ridiculous. I've never had to do this on a credit card ever before. And she goes, "Oh, that's just how we do it anymore. There's so much fraud on credit cards." And I was like, okay. And so then I went to put it into my Apple Pay on my phone and laptop. Went on the phone, fine. Laptop locked. Couldn't do anything on Apple Pay. Had to call in again. What is going on? So I go on Reddit on all of these threads, and there are multiple people that this is happening to, of it's just fraud locking this card all over the place. And the speculation in the background is that there's just some fraud monitor that's like cranked up to 11 that's AI based, that's like, oh, different IP address, boom, done, fraud locked. And that this is just happening rampantly. And it's drove me nuts. And I was like, I got this card to travel. What am I going to do now that I have this card and I don't feel confident that I'm going to be able
It'll
to go
always
on
be locked.
that I'll go on our trip to Arizona for another event. And then I go to use my credit card and then I don't have a credit card.
I have a fun AI story.
Yeah.
I'm a little ashamed of it, but I'll go to Taco Bell once a month. It's like I love it, and it's my guilty pleasure. And I went there this morning, and I pulled up, and they're like, and this nice lady asked me what I wanted, and I realized like about 20 seconds in that it was an AI, but it did so good at my asking what I wanted, and it didn't make any mistakes, and it added everything perfectly, and it wished me a great day. It,
Wow.
it was pretty good. So yeah.
I don't know what I'm more appalled about, that you will occasionally go to Taco Bell, that's fine, but for breakfast?
Have you had their breakfast?
No, I'm very not a Taco Bell lover.
Well, then yeah, then you wouldn't get it. Their breakfast is so good.
I've been trying to use ChatGPT to help give me organ music because we got an organ with my house.
Oh yeah.
And I got a book of sheet music, so I've been learning again. And then I was like, wait, there's new songs, and I don't want to order the sheet music online. So I was like, let me see if I can throw this at ChatGPT and have it solve it. And it did abysmally. But it does seem like a problem that AI should be able to solve. And I wonder if maybe there's a business idea if no one's made the music nerd GPT yet. Someone should get started on that.
How does that balance though between it generating out and then violating like copyright law?
Oh, that's a interesting question. I don't know.
I mean, that's how like New York Times sued various generative AI for like pulling information from their articles and whatnot, and being like, hi, now people are just getting free access to this data
Yeah.
without paywalls.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know
So
how
thanks
that's
for-
there's probably all sorts of weird legal questions like that coming out. There's probably going to be a whole area of law in a couple years.
Yeah. So thanks for outing yourself as a copyright infringer when it comes to
Joel
organ
I just
stole
wanted to say
software,
music.
and he's stealing
Yeah, whoa.
music.
How can I read PDFs easily? Well, guys, I don't have anything else from this beautiful Friday. Do we have any other thoughts on current events, news, CMMC, or otherwise, or time to sign off?
No, I'd hope it warms up this weekend. And if you go to Taco Bell, see if they have an AI taking your order.
What is your order?
Dude, a breakfast Crunchwrap. Breakfast steak
Breakfast
Crunchwrap.
Crunchwrap.
Yeah, so good.
I probably have not been in 20 years, but that is what I would do, is a Crunchwrap if I ever went with my friends.
The lunch
So.
crop brand's good. The breakfast one's better.
They should change their logo.
I do have to go really
No,
quick,
you're all
but I have
good.
one more story. I did a video for Datrium. They were like a storage SAN appliance before they got bought out by VMware, and we did a video for them at a hospital a group of medical centers that we implemented it at. And part of the video I was talking about how the Crunchwrap, the breakfast Crunchwrap. And they were also interested that the next day it was like 2 days of filming, I think. We went in and we all got breakfast crunch wraps. We felt terrible for the rest of the day for video. So anyway, that's why you only do it once a month. It's the
That's it.
takeaway.
Okay, I will.
This is the second video where I've mentioned their crunch. I should get ad revenue from Taco Bell.
Okay,
Sponsors,
maybe I'll do a live tasting. I know people don't like it when you eat on camera, but I'll do a
Just
live
mute it when you
Taco
take
Bell
bites.
Crunchwrap.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in for the Stratus Sphere podcast and our not so mini deep dive on CMMC. This has been Joshua, Joel, and myself. If you could drop us a like or a comment or follow along on our channel, that would be great. Feel free to drop us questions if you'd like us to cover something specific. But if not, we will see you next time. Bye,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.